Hi, welcome to another video from cardboardeast.com. My name's Jay. I play Asian board games and share what I find with all of you. In our last video, we started our top 20 best board games from 2018 from Asia that I've played. So, without wasting too much time, let's go ahead and get straight to number 10 and get this list done. Number 10 is Epic of Hegemonia. Now, this is probably the lightest game on this list. Every time I've played it, everyone says, yeah, this feels like Catan. And you know, it kind of does feel like Catan. Or Settlers, if you're an older gamer like me. There are 5 different areas, one for each of the 5 factions, and you are moving to other people's areas, gathering resources, trading resources with other players, and trying to build your fortresses. First person to build all their fortresses wins the game. And if that sounds a little bit like Catan, then yeah, it definitely feels like Catan. Except that everyone has their own unique faction, and each faction plays a little differently. Dragons are big and strong and have a lot of influence. Humans are that nice middle of the road that you can just throw off to the new player. Elves are fast and spread all around the board very quickly. Blobs are very, very weak, but they can climb together and make a big blob. And aliens are very fun and wacky because their fortresses give the aliens special abilities. Now on your turn, you're gathering cards, trading cards with other players, and moving. But then you get to upgrade your faction, and you can unlock more players, you can unlock special abilities, and you can even unlock more fortresses, which is the goal of the game. I really like this game. I was very impressed with it. This is the second edition of it. The first edition of it looked less flashy, and I definitely like this one. Unfortunately, there was going to be a third edition with a lot more factions, but the Kickstarter was canceled by Studio Mundi, and I really hope they get a marketing campaign together and really bring it back, because I think this one definitely shines from 2018. Number 9, Kamakura Collection. Kamakura Collection from Jugame Studios. Now, if you've never heard of Jugame Studio makes probably the most chilled out games out of Asia. One of their more recent games was a bonsai game where you're just building a bonsai tree and pruning it. No tension, but very, very chill. And Kamakura, I think, is the best game from Jugame Studios. In Kamakura Collection, each player is a family going on vacation in Kamakura. Kamakura is a very touristy place in Japan. In Kamakura, you're trying to go to all the touristy locations and get photographs taken there. And as you travel on the way, there are little restaurants you can go and gobble up lots of food. What I really love about this game, beyond how chill it is how the mechanics kind of flesh out the theme. It's a worker placement game with a rondel, and your workers can go to these touristy locations. And if you want to be mean, you could just camp there and not move. Now, it's going to be a little bit detrimental to you because your other family members would be going elsewhere, and you're kind of stuck with Dad at the Ferris wheel. But you get this queue of all the other people waiting in line to get their photo at the Ferris wheel. And you definitely have that feeling of like, come on, go, 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 go. All right, get up the kid, go on the Ferris wheel. I'll take your picture. All right, let's go to the next place. And I love that feeling. But there are also lots of different ways to score points in this game. Your family doesn't have to only go to get pictures of the touristy places. You can eat all these different restaurants. And the more unique restaurants that you go eat at, the more points you get. And there are also these private and public goals that you can get and compete with other players. But I think the level of production in this game, the cuteness of the board, really make this stand out. I think one person on BGG commented that they liked the game, but the movement was a little bit restrictive, but that's the game. And if you've ever been to Kamakura, then you definitely got to pick this game up, because it definitely brings back all those memories of that trip. And that has been my number 9. That has been my number 9 Kamakura Collection. Not number 9, but number 8 is Symphony number 9 from Mo Ideas Game Design. And I will tell you that Symphony number 9 is the best commodity speculation auction bidding game for 2 people, period. You don't find many games that are like auction and bidding for 2 people, but this one works. Designer Frank Leo did an amazing job. And then Mo Ideas used a fantastic theme of symphony and classical music, a theme that's underrepresented in our hobby. I think if you go to BGG and you type in symphony, there are like 5 games. Just 5 games. In Symphony number 9, you are a patron of music in Vienna. You're bidding to get the best show in the best place. And it's you're working the composers, giving them more money so they can compose more music. And in this hilarious thematic way, you have furniture that you can sell to feed your addiction, to give money to these people, and they can have more works. And the more works that you have, the more valuable they are. And you can even work a composer to death. And then their work becomes more and more valuable. I really love the clean look to the game. I love the colored cubes on the white boards. And I think a lot of Euro games today are a little bit too flashy in my opinion. The boards are way too messy and it's hard to clearly see what's happening on the board. And I think Blue Ideas did a great job with this game of making everything nice, clean, and clear. Also, a cool Easter egg is that on the back of the composer tiles, you'll see sheet music of their music. Ah, too cool. Now, Symphony Number 9 does play up to 4 players, but if you ask me, it plays best at 2 players. If you and your significant other really like bidding and auction games, then I definitely recommend Symphony Number 9 because you're not going to find another game at 2 players that does that mechanic better than this. Number 7, Realm of Sand from Emperor S4. Now, a lot of people have said that this plays a lot like a hybrid between Splendor and Patchwork, and together it becomes Realm of Sand. And I think that's actually pretty fair, but to be even more fair, I would rather play Realm of Sand than Patchwork or Splendor. Just like Splendor, there are cards that you can get that are 1, 2, and 3, and you're working your way up from 1, 2, and 3. You're building them on your mat, similar to Patchwork, and you're moving these tokens that you're drafting and slowly building these sandcastles and fulfilling the contracts. Each contract from 1, 2, and 3 give you more materials back, and you get to chain things together. This is a really fulfilling game and very, very smooth. Now, it usually takes players maybe like that first round to kind of get how that game works, but then by round 2, you're just grokking this thing. What Realm of Sand does better than most games is that it has momentum, and the game just picks up lots and lots of speed. As your engine is going, you're getting faster and faster, you're getting more materials, building more sandcastles, getting more materials, building more sandcastles, but then things come to a screeching halt when you realize, whoa, 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 I'm about to trigger the end game. Can I beat everyone at the table? And everyone reaches this point and becomes kind of tense and quiet, and then someone triggers the end game. Everyone explodes with all these different actions of super powerful combos, and then the game ends, dust clears, and hopefully you won. Now, I haven't liked all of Emperor S4's games, but this one definitely stands out. Now, if you're curious about Emperor S4, you played Hanamakoji, and you want to try some more of their games, then I definitely recommend you try out Realm of Sand. Number 6, Walking in Burano, also by Emperor S4. I did the proofreading for these rules, so please take everything I say with a grain of salt, and here's Mr. Salt to help us remember this. I've been really impressed with Walking in Burano. When I first played it in 2018, I first played it at Emperor S4, and they introduced the game to me, and they played it with me and showed me how it worked. My Shirt of the Artist destroyed everyone at the table, and I liked the game then, and I even like the game more now. I have been really impressed by how well this game has held up over the years. Walking in Burano is a card game, but I've never seen cards played like this. In Walking in Burano, you are controlling, or you're in charge of one street in Burano, and you're building these colorful houses. And you're trying to stack all the yellow cards, all the orange cards, and all the red cards. And you're drafting cards from your hand, and then building these complexes as you go along. And it plays unlike any other card game I've ever seen. And the fact that it feels like this big, epic board game, but it's contained in this tiny little box, is really impressive. It plays well at 2, 3, and 4, and the solo is pretty solid as well, but I think it works best as a 2-player game, with you and your significant other drafting cards and building up your castles as best as you can, and building up your apartments as best as you can. If you're really curious about this game, I did the how-to play video for Emperor S4 way back in the day, and I'll put a link somewhere here for you to find out more information about it. Emperor S4 has made quite a few games over the years, and I think Walking in Burano definitely stands above a lot of them, and it definitely holds up better than most of their other games have, and I don't think I'll ever get rid of this game. Number 5, A Pleasant Journey to Neko. This is probably one of the best board games to ever come out of Taiwan, period. Now, I do admit that I'm not even sure if this really counts as an Asian board game. Now, publisher-designer City Low, the Wood Games, used to live here in Taiwan. He's Taiwanese. He had a really popular and famous board game blog, and in fact, he published it into a book. And now he moved to Germany, and now he's publishing games. And one of the games he came up with is this. And as you can tell, Cililo is an old school gamer, and that's why the cover of A Pleasant Journey to Neko looks like these old school Aliyah games from Ravensburg Games. I love that. This is a really interesting dice drafting game where you're on a boat and you're going to Neko Harbor in Antarctica and you're viewing penguins. And you're not getting victory points, you're getting penguin points. It took the Keyflower auction game where you're putting dice on different sides of the card and bidding for that card. You're building up these cards with the tableaus, moving your ships across your cards, unlocking more abilities, and you're just building and building and building this really impressive engine. And I have to say that this is one of those games where you could definitely feel the playtesting that was involved. All the dice are important. High value dice are important, low value dice are important, and you need a mixture of both. And the art is really unique. Not many games have this hand-drawn art style on their cards, but this one does it, and it does it really well. And this particular manufacturer, Mo Strai, does beautiful work with white cardboard. And the white cardboard, you really don't think it makes a difference, but on the edges you don't see brown, you see white, and it makes this whole game very clean looking. And it definitely feels unlike any other game that you've played before, if you're not used to this white cardboard. The only problem that I have with this game is that you need trays, because you're going to be drafting dice, and it's kind of complicated. So these little trays here cost, I don't know, pennies. And I use these to draft the dice. And don't ask me where you can find these. These are here in Taiwan, and they're very, very cheap. So I have them in most of my games. But I definitely think if you want to pick this game up, you should definitely pick up these little trays to help you draft the dice. And one last thing I want to say about this game is that all the components are really nice. He could have easily just done little cardboard chits for everything, but thank you for not. All the anchors are big, all the boats are big, the money is all bright and colorful, each denomination is a different color. He went above and beyond for this game, and I just can't recommend it enough. And that's been my number 5, Pleasant Journey to Neko. Number 4, Metro X. Metro X is by far one of the best roll and write games, or flip and write games. Not just from Asia, but period. I absolutely love this game, and it definitely feels like that old school roll and write before they got way too complicated with all these things. And don't get me wrong, I like Hadrian's Wall. I've got a chance to play it. But Hadrian's Wall and this are very different. And I enjoyed my game of Hadrian's Wall, which is probably the most complex roll and write game ever designed. But I really appreciate the simplicity of this and how diabolical it feels. It's just a deck of cards, piece of paper, and your pencil. And there are a lot of tense, frustrating decisions that go into this game. On top of that, the idea that it's Metro X, you're building metro stations for a subway system in Tokyo. And what's so cool about this theme is that they've made different maps of different cities. So you have Tokyo, Osaka, there was an expansion for this that did 3 other different cities, and the fans have done New York, London. If you go to BGG, they'll see lots of different cities that people have designed for. And each reprinting of the game from other publishers that have licensed this game have all made different cities and unique maps. So there's no limit to this. And I think the system is so solid that you can design any city with, well, so long as they have a metro system, and have a great time. Personally, for me, I love the original box because it's small and compact. Toss it in a backpack and you're good to go. And it's one of these games that you can play 1 to 99. I had a phase of this where I just played this every morning, a nice, quiet cup of coffee in the sun, and that was probably one of the best little weeks that I've had. So that's been my number 4, Metro X. Definitely give it a try. Number 3, Psychic Pizza Deliverers Go to the Ghost Town. Yeah, that's the whole title. I'll say it again. Psychic Pizza Deliverers Go to the Ghost Town. Now, I feel terrible for making this video when I did, because the Kickstarter for this game has already ended. Sorry guys. But this is a game that when I first did my list of top 10 games for 2018 3 years ago, this was a lot lower on the list. And over the years, it's just gotten higher and higher and higher. And I just love this game more and more and more. I've gotten to play this with multiple players, and everyone loves this game. Well, then you've come to the right place. Psychic Pizza to me is one of the quintessential examples of just how amazing Japanese games are, and how unique the themes and the story that they want to tell. This will play unlike any other game that you've ever played, and I think it's definitely worth a try. This is a deduction game. One player is the mayor of the ghost town, and he builds a 7x7 grid of the ghost town, and he knows where all the houses are. He knows where the pizza is, where you start. He knows where all the players are, where the pizzas are, and where the houses are, and then where all the ghosts are. The other players are left to their own devices with a sheet of paper and a pencil, and they kind of have to navigate their way through. To your north, there's a house. To the left, there's a wall. To the right, there's a ghost. Behind you, you hear the sounds of a pig. Essentially, this is basically just like a watered-down D&D. There's a dungeon. Here's a ghost town. You have to go and get the treasure. That's the pizza. Then you have to get the treasure to the big main boss. That's the house. First person to do that in 20 turns wins. No one does that in 20 turns, mayor wins. Now, there are two ways that you can play this game. The original game came with a lot of different little components, like pictures of pigs, houses, a motorcycle, a truck, and you can place these all over the map and give more texture to the game. Each token is up to you to make rules. And this definitely, and if you lean into that, you'll definitely have like this more fleshed out D&D aspect to the game. The new release doesn't give you any of those items, and it's just the puzzle. Just the puzzle of you finding a pizza and then somehow finding a house. There are ghosts all throughout the town, and if you punch a ghost, it'll run away. Don't ask me how you punch a ghost. You just punch a ghost, and it'll give you like this ectoplasm, that'll give you these great psychic powers. And that'll allow you to warp to the other side of the city, go straight to a pizza, all these different special unique powers. And it's really interesting because you're slowly drawing this map of trying to keep notes of where you are, and you're also listening to the other players, finding out where they are. You can't communicate to the other pizza deliverers, but you can kind of like, oh, there's a house to your north, there's a graveyard to your left. Wait, there's a house to your north, there's a graveyard to your left. We're actually in the same place. And it's this fun little puzzle that you get to solve together. I'm gushing about this. I already have written a review about this game. You can check it out on cardboardeast.com. I'll put a link in the doobly-doo down below. But I definitely recommend giving this a try. If you want, go to the Kickstarter page and plead for our lead pledge manager and just ask and hope that you can get another copy of this game because it is fantastic. Number 2, Mini World War 2. I absolutely adore this game. I like war games, I like drafting games, and this one blended the two together really well. And in addition to that, it's a team game where it's a 2v2. Now, while there is this area control element on the map below, it's mostly a card game and you managing your hand. And I love that there are different things that you could do with your card. You could build more units, you can move units, you could use one of these cards to develop technology, you could use one of these cards to develop a peace treaty with another country and slowly get more points that way. I also love how the technology is implemented in this game. Although it doesn't happen too often, you can definitely develop the nuclear bomb. And I love how it's abstracted in this game. You launch the bomb, you nuke your opponent, and then they lose like 3 cards out of their hand, and so they only have 2 actions on their turn. And it's hilarious. But I really like the 2v2 aspect of this game, where Germany and Japan are one side of the board, and the other side is Russia and Great Britain. Japan is heavy on boats, Russia's heavy on tanks, Great Britain is heavy on boats and tanks, and Germany is a little bit of both. And I love this great push and pull mechanic, where Germany can rush into Russia, and Russia can push against Japan, Japan can push against England, and then England can go around the world and go to Russia. And I love that there's this great push and pull on all 4 fronts of the game. I really love war games, but I know they take a long time. So for a game to be able to strip this down into a drafting game with multi-purpose cards that can do lots of different things, this game just really sings. Now, while this does play well with 2, I think it definitely works better as a 4-player game. Now, some reviewers didn't like the stripped down look of the original game. I really like that on each of the cards there are actual newsreel photos that are in black and white. Some reviewers didn't like the stripped down look of the board, and that's fine. I like it because it's very clean and clear, and you know exactly where you are and what you're supposed to do. The cards themselves are all black and white from historical pictures from the old-time newspapers. I think that's really thematic and really cool. Now, if you're curious about this game, you're in luck because it's been reprinted as Total Domination. Now, there was a Kickstarter a few years ago and it has had trouble fulfilling due to the pandemic. But I think once it does fulfill, there'll be buzz about it and you can definitely pick up a copy. Total Domination is a little bit different than this one. They actually worked with the original designers, changed a few mechanics, redid the math, added a few more technologies and text that you can develop, and overall, I'd say it's a better game. However, I don't really like the new art. I think it's fine, it looks good, but I really like the stripped down look of this game. Also, I like the portability of the tiny box. And that's been my number 2 Mini World War II. It was number 1 3 years ago, and it's number 1 today. And that is Pass Tally by Analog Lunchbox. This game will melt your brain. Now, Analog Lunchbox is known for being really strict on their player counts. This is 3 or 4. It's only 3 or 4. Not 2, not 5. And I think they failed in this game because they said it's 2 or 3, and no, this is a 2-player game. So if you have someone that you want to melt brains together with, then this is a great abstract logistical game. Now, I've heard people call this Pass Tally, and no, it's going to be Pass Tally because in this game you tally your passes. You're placing down these colorful rupee-shaped pieces, and you're slowly trying to create this logistical chain from one dot to another. The higher the stack, the more points. The longer the path, the more points. And you're trying to get to the end game score before the other opponent. And it is brutal on your mind. You only have 2 actions on your turn, but each action that you do permanently alters the game state and the board. A lot of people who like train games love this game because it definitely feels like you're laying tracks on the map. And just like some other chain games, why should I build this long elaborate track when I could just steal yours and keep all the glory? You do the work and I'll steal it and I gain the points. This is not one of those games where you're like, you do your thing and I do my thing and oh look, I won. No, this is a game that is in your face. You are being mean to your opponent, you are stealing their routes, and you're trying to get the best points possible. This is just an amazing game. And I haven't played all of Analog Lunchbox games, but out of all the ones that I have played, this one is by far the best. And everyone that I've showed this to has loved it. Even though it may not be their game, they all love sitting there, scratching their chin, and pulling out their hair. I've showed this to my girlfriend, and she loves it. Every now and then I will suggest it, and she's like, no, my brain is too tired. I don't want to melt my brain. I like my brain. But if you can find a copy of this, I definitely recommend you pick it up. If you're interested in this game, well, you're in luck because Pandasaurus licensed it, and it is now in North America. I think it was kind of weird because they played the game, they fell in love with it, they showed it around, going, look how amazing this game is, and it just did not fly off the shelves as fast as they wanted it to. And I think that's a real shame because I think this game is absolutely amazing and totally worth owning and playing. Easily one of the best abstracts in my entire collection. This will never leave. I don't give many 10s out there, and this one is a 10. If you're curious about how I rate my games, go to the link below or go to BGG and see how I rate games. I only rate board games from Asia. And if I'm gushing too much, well then, I don't know what to tell you because this is number 1 of 2018. Boom! Period. So if you only had to get one game on this list, it'll be this one. Hey guys, thanks for watching the end of the video. If you like what you see here and you want to see this channel grow, please consider joining our Patreon. And hey, we got another one! Woohoo! Once again guys, my name's Jay. I play Asian board games and share what I find with all of you. Like, subscribe, hit that bell icon, and I'll see you next month when we talk about the best games of 2019. See you later.